Alrighty, moving on from the next topic. I know we just talked about the NBA City Edition jerseys in the previous segment. We are moving on to probably a more electrifying, I say more electrifying than the jerseys that we've seen. And that is, of course, a little Victor Wembanyama preseason. This dude looks like the real deal. We're going to talk about it in this part of the segment. But just to let you guys know and to kind of let you guys see what's going on here, Victor Wembanyama in these last couple of games has been averaging, if I can pull up the points here. I mean, we're doing totals here. So he's had 77 points. He's about 50% from the field, 31 from three, 85 from the free throw line, getting about 19 rebounds, 6 assists, and really 11 blocks, which I think is tied for most in the NBA preseason. And again, I know preseason stats, people are going to say it doesn't matter, but, there was a lot of talk when we reviewed this stuff, you guys, where a lot of people were looking at the summer league stuff and they're saying, oh, how is this guy going to hang in the NBA? This guy's too skinny. This guy can't do a lot of stuff. But after the second game, because, the first game he had the jitters, I think it was just kind of the nervousness of it. And then now, as you guys can see from the highlights and everything that we were showing you here, he is a complete player. He's going to be so much fun to watch. And, Brad, I'm going to throw it to you in just a second because you actually had a very interesting comment about Victor Wembanyama in our group chat. So I want to let you intro that part. But, yeah, it's been a fun thing to see Victor Wembanyama. So, Brad, I'm gonna leave it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really lost for words because he's an alien. We've never seen this before. But my take was I think he's going to be an all-star in his rookie season. And who was the last person we saw do that? Was it, I want to say Yao Ming? I'm pretty sure. He got voted in. Yeah, so it's just because he can affect the game in so many ways. If he shoots 3 of 10 like he did in one of these games versus Houston, he's still dominating the game on the defensive end. Like, he could legitimately be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year this year. I don't know if he'll play enough games, but every time he's on the court, he completely changes the makeup of the game just with his length and mobility. Did you guys watch that Warriors game? The way he was guarding Andrew Wiggins was insane. He had him in hell. Like, Andrew Wiggins is a hyper explosive athlete, and Wemby's just sliding his feet with him on the perimeter. It's insane. Like, no 7'5" person should be able to move that way. So I really, really believe 100% he will be an all-star in his rookie year. It's just about if he can play enough games, because if he's on the court, he's going to affect the game, and they'll have no choice but to put him on there, and he'll have the popularity too.
Yeah. So Blake Griffin was actually the last one to do it in 2010-11. Which technically, I think that was his second year. Technically,
I was going to say, does that count? Yeah.
He was hurt. They still count it because he won Rookie of the Year, I believe, that year too.
Yeah.
And then you were right. Yao Ming was the last person before that. So there was 10 years difference between those two guys. And then the one time before that, I'll just get the third guy, was Tim Duncan in 97-98. So we're on track here for the first of this decade. It kind of seems like it happens in the first couple of years of each decade. We get one of these rookies that just establishes himself right from the jump. Yeah, Brad, I really can't disagree with you. I mean, Wiggins was in hell, but really the whole Warriors team was in hell. And honestly, this is why Wemby is going to be such a problem. Teams that build themselves small, which the NBA has kind of led a lot of these organizations to believe is an okay way to play basketball the last, decade, I would say. These teams are in for a rude awakening because they're not really built to even try and respond to what Wemby presents on defense. They really just don't. A lot of the teams in the league don't have the length to deal with him and actually have the amount of time between each of their players getting a possession to actually even get by Wemby effectively on a consistent basis. This is the reason why I've been screaming from the mountaintops since we were getting even close to him seeing the draft. This dude is going to have perennial Defensive Player of the Year potential. He might end up with the most Defensive Player of the Year awards ever if he really is consistently healthy. I'm going to say something that pains me, but I have to do it just because it's real. All right.
I want the Knicks to get him.
Bernie. Well, I mean, we don't even need to talk about that pain. That's just never happening. Bernie, my love of Evan Mobley has long been documented. I screamed from the mountaintops for him as well. Okay. In his rookie season, I thought he actually had a legitimate chance to win Defensive Player of the Year. And to be honest, I feel like I was validated. He wasn't that great his rookie season on defense, but he really was super impactful. And last year, he was legitimately like the second or third best defensive player in the league, in my opinion. That being said, everything that I like about Evan Mobley as a defender, everything he presents to a team on defense, I think just Victor Wembanyama he's the A+ version of all of those things. Like there really is nobody that is going to present as many like just easy get out of jail free possessions like Wemby is going to. You know, we're going to see so many blocks at the 3-point line. I
Mm-hmm.
can't get away from that one play, and I know we talked about it, I think, a couple weeks ago. I might be wrong. Maybe we haven't streamed since this happened, but there was that game against OKC where, you know, J-Dub himself, you know, we're all super high on Jalen Williams. He is a freak athlete. You know, Wiggins is a freak athlete. So is Jalen Williams, right? And Jalen Williams is bigger, too, I believe, by a couple inches than Wiggins is. Jalen Williams absolutely smoked Wembanyama. Just gets by him. He's got at least 4 steps on him. And then we see Wembanyama complete 180, recover on the back step, and just block him from nowhere. I mean, Jalen Williams had no idea that Wembanyama had even remotely turned around, let alone was even close to blocking him. And he did it. And that we're going to see that so often. I just think there's a lot of teams that are too small for guys for Wembanyama in particular. Like I don't know what teams like what is Sacramento gonna do against Wemby? I just don't even understand who they're even gonna put out against him. And it leads me to my question, Bernie. I'm gonna give it to you. All right. Do you guys think that Wemby is actually gonna bring like we've talked about in the last season or so, like the return of the center, right? Like these big kind of lumbering, just you know, big guys that these teams can put down low, right? Is Wemby going to be the thing that actually like really brings centers back? Like these teams are going to have to get like a, you know, just a big body who's going to be able to hold him back a little bit, I think. But I think a lot of teams don't have that. What do you guys think? Are teams going to try and get somebody to be like a Wemby insurance policy? What's going to be the plan with this guy going forward?
Like, are you talking like defensively? Like, what are they going to do?
Yeah,
Fair.
just in general, like
Uh,
like just for example, like Bernie, you mentioned the preseason, like it is the preseason, but Wemby really was going against the starters for the
yeah.
Warriors, right? It wasn't just preseason. He was putting work on those guys. Like they didn't have anything to do to stop him or slow him down, offensively or defensively. So I don't know. Like I just think that's a personnel problem, not a coaching problem. Like it's not a matter of they don't know what to do against Wemby. It's a matter of they don't have anything they can do against Wemby. So I guess my question is maybe it's not centers, but what do you guys think is kind of like the logical first response for some of these teams?
Besides
Prayer,
praying.
like legit, literally prayer. Like I don't. Oh, go
Yeah.
ahead, Bernie.
No. I mean, the only thing I was gonna say, like, what they're probably gonna try to do is, uh, I mean, it's hard because you know the Wembanyama, the big reason, and I made a video on this, and I don't want to toot my own horn with the videos, but about the Victor Wembanyama, just like cheat code is a generational talent. Like I've talked about this before, like he's a hard matchup because, like you said, it's kind of like what happened when Steph Curry and the Warriors, you know, were doing these 3-point barrages. It was like a completely different game. Like I think Wembanyama is going to make it a completely different game because you can't put a Nurkic on him. You can't put any of these bigs that are just lumbering on him because he'll just go by him because he's moves like a 6'4" guard. So I just think
Yeah.
what it's going to boil down to for these teams is, you know, can we out physical him because he's still, you know, so young that he doesn't have his grown man body yet. You know, can
Yep.
you force him out and kind of rough him up a little bit, you know, to get him tired so he misses these shots? I mean, I'm showing you guys the that people that are watching, like I'm showing you the play where he just blocked Klay Thompson and then just leaked out and got a dunk. You know, probably aggroed Klay Thompson there because Klay Thompson was trying to go for a block. I'm not sure why, uh, but yeah, I mean, just to, like you said, answer your question because they keep skirting around it. They're just gonna have to be more physical on him. They're gonna have to kind of bump him off. Um, and really, like you see, like you know, Andrew Wiggins is guarding Victor Wembanyama, and so now you have a mismatch somewhere else.
Yep.
With one of your like forwards or your guards being guarded by the center. And so I think it's gonna. I actually think it's gonna be a lot of fun as Greg Pop. I'm sure Greg Popovich is having a field day, in the coaches' room. Just like, all right, we know that they're probably not going to put their center on Victor. Let's see what matchups we can have on the other side, because then I think it will open up Victor's playmaking ability too. So he's the kind of the like what we talked about with Porzingis, the unicorn. He gets the moniker of the
Yeah.
unicorn because he is so unique in his skill set and ability.
Alien. I like Alien. He's not from
Alien.
here.
Yeah, he's different. I guess my question comes from the place of like we see a lot of these big guys like I think Shaq is obviously the best example of just like this dominant physical force, and the rules and just the strategy of basketball kind of changed around what Shaq was at the time, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm really 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 curious to see what the Wembenyama era version of that is going to be. I genuinely think something is going to have to give in terms of what these teams are going to do to strategize against this. And let me just bring in a little bit of breaking news here because I think that this is a good example. All right. Not a good example in the sense that it's a good thing, but report just came out that Steven Adams, Grizzlies center, is undergoing season-ending surgery.
What?
As of today, yes. So no Steven Adams for the Memphis Grizzlies this season.
Jeez.
Oh my goodness.
And this is the point of everything I'm trying to say here is like these dudes are already very limited in numbers in the league, right? Like these big body physical centers that are able to even dream of pushing Wembenyama off of a spot. Like there's not many of those dudes in the league, and now there's one less, and that is a direct, that's a contender in the West. I'm not saying like the Spurs are contenders. I'm saying the Grizzlies are contenders. But there's very little in the way of like insurance for guys like that. Like there's just not a lot of those players in the league. So I'm curious to see like I don't understand how teams I'm not one of these guys that's like a huge Dwight Howard defender at this point in my life, but I struggle to see how teams are not going to want to bring guys like that in. Just these big athletic dudes. Like, who cares what they present offensively? It's more just like, can you stay in the way of Wembenyama and actually have like the verticality to stay in his way too? I think is going to be the most interesting thing with Wemby.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of teams like you said with Shaq changing the game. We're gonna see like people going the KD Kawhi route, like getting all these wings who they thought could turn into KD or Kawhi. People are just gonna be going after like these 7 foot skinny athletic kids trying to
Yeah.
find someone to match up with Wemby or praying he could be the next Wemby. They're just gonna we're gonna see people trying to replicate that in the draft, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's
Well, let me ask one more question then. Just seeing as we're still on the Spurs, has the
title
stuff that you
contenders.
guys have seen of Wembenyama, what's that, Bernie?
Title contenders.
I was just gonna say, do you think they should go into like win now mode? Like I was very heavy on they should go try and sign Austin Reeves this offseason. I honestly don't know if I'll forgive them anytime soon for not even putting an offer in. But that being said, like I don't really understand why you would wait. I just don't get it. You're not going to get good draft picks with this guy on your team. It's not like you're in the stage you've been, right? I really think the Spurs should go win now mode, guys. I honestly kind of do. Like I don't think they're winning a title this year, but I genuinely think that there's no good that's going to come from waiting.
Yeah. I mean, from preseason, it looks like they're trying to win. Like the way their defense was set up and putting Sochan in the starting lineup, like that's a winning move. I feel like to bolster their defense.
Oh, I mean, their defense is going to be absolutely just nightmare fuel for so many teams in the league.
Yeah, they'll be winning games just off of that. It's going to be beautiful to watch, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing that I appreciate about the Spurs, even from last year, is that they're not like, yes, they were losing games, but they're not one of these teams that's like, okay, Vessel, you're out, or trying to think people else on their roster like Johnson. Yeah, you're out of the no, they're playing, they're getting better, and that's really how it's done. Like, I think that's what's going to benefit. I mean, the Spurs way, it needs to be the model for all these teams that are trying to do the tank model. You do not sacrifice your players not playing that season in exchange for the number one pick. You have to let them play and get better, because that is essentially, because I could potentially see something like this, you guys. Like, I could see them, and I talked about this other team too, trying to go play in the in-season tournament. The Orlando Magic, Spurs, go try to win this in-season tournament, because I think it'll be a fun little 1-2 versus there with the Spurs and the Orlando Magic if they met up in the in-season tournament, because this could be potentially the future of the NBA Finals. Two small market teams, which would be funny, but these teams are fun to watch. I think these teams have characteristics that say, like, we're not trying to lose these games, we want to win. And I hope that, like I talked about earlier, and I really want to reiterate this, because I think a lot of these teams all the time just continuously fail at this one thing, and that is, of course, playing the loser mentality of, hey, we just want to lose so we can get the best pick, let's put in our worst players. Or let's say, hey, they got a mysterious injury and they need rest. Like, that's not the Spurs. And, I think more teams need to be like them.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we said it all last season too. Like, the fact that they're running sets and actually trying to teach these guys how to play, regardless if they're good or not, that's more than all the other teams tanking for the most part. The only other team I think that does a good job of it is OKC.
Yeah,
obviously.
That could be another one, another good matchup.
That is an incredible matchup. That's Western Conference Finals in like 3 seasons. Maybe not even that long. Maybe 2 seasons from now.
I could definitely see in 3 seasons for sure. I mean, these teams the Spurs could be ready. I mean, Wembanyama's a glitch.
I feel like the Spurs are they're like a point guard away from being contenders.
Austin Reeves,
like a Trey Young. And if you put Trey on that team, he could hide. You can hide his defense.
Yeah, that's actually
Trey
not
or
a bad
Luka.
point. That's not a bad point, Brad.
Luka
I think
and
Trey
Wemby?
is actually kind of a good shout. Nah, they wouldn't. The NBA is that. Are you kidding me? Adam Silver is throwing his lifeless corpse in front of that trade. There's no way
so?
he'd allow.
Damn, Adam Silver's still alive, man.
He won't be if that trade happens. I'll tell you that much. He ain't letting it happen. Where the reanimated corpse of David Stern will take care of it. There you go. It won't, Adam Silver doesn't have to. David Stern's coming back to take care of that trade too. That ain't happening. Trey Young though, Brad, that's actually that's an incredible shout. That would be. I don't actually think I don't think there's a better fit for Trey in the whole league.
Yeah,
that's probably it.
Yeah. His playmaking and shooting next to Victor, it'd be pretty crazy. And I think the Spurs are in a pretty good position. I think they own the Raptors pick in the next draft and the Nuggets pick in the next draft. They have some shiesty stuff in that front office that's put them in a really good position.
Yeah. The Spurs should run an experiment and just keep Wemby, obviously, and then put all the other 4 guys on the court are like good offense, bad defense guys. Like, go get I guess D'Angelo Russell isn't like a great example. Get Cat, get D'Angelo Russell, get all these guys that like you're always a little down on their defense, but they're just like good because they score, and then let Wembanyama just clean up the mess. Score 150 points and just let Wembanyama play defense all day long. It'd be sick. Yeah. That might be a 2K experiment for me to run.
A little 2K experiment. But yeah, let us know in the comment section down below. What do you guys make of Victor Wembanyama in his preseason debut? Clearly, like we talked about before, people were harping on him in the summer league, but he quickly shut up the haters with his amazing play during the preseason, and will continue to show it in the regular season. I have no doubts about it. But let us know in the comment section down below. What do you guys make of Victor? Are you guys a fan of him? Do you guys believe in his ability? Let us know in the comment section down below.